Hey, Dazzy here, and today I'm going to go over ways that you can make Robux in 2021. Just a disclaimer, you will need a PC or laptop to make Robux, and I do have one way to make Robux if you are on a mobile device or do not have a PC or laptop, which you can find later in this video, so stay tuned for that. So the first way to make Robux is by making a game. Now this can be really difficult if you're a beginner, but if you learn the basics you can create a really basic game and work on from there and even possibly see success. You will need to know how to script, UI design, model, make sounds, etc. This could be quite a lot to learn if you're a solo, so what you can do is hire people to help. That will cost Robux or your currency, like real life currency. But if you are watching this video, you most likely don't have Robux, so I would advise against this and just learn the basics first. If you are a solo beginner, I would recommend asking a friend to join, as this will make it more fun and it will be more efficient for you and your friend. Now if you look at games like Adopt Me and Bloxburg, they are generating billions of Robux, and by no means am I saying you will make that when starting off, but it can be a goal you set yourself after you are familiar with making a game. So in terms of difficulty in making a game, I'd have to give it a 5 out of 5. As it can be quite difficult, but in terms of profitability, it has to be 5 out of 5 as you can make a lot of Robux. Now the second way to make Robux is by creating a themed group. Now what I mean by this is creating a group centered around something, for example a cafe or a restaurant. It's a good way to make a bit of Robux. The only real issue you have is you also have to create a game. So let's say you have a restaurant group, you'd have to create a restaurant game, and yeah, you'd have to create the game and you'd have to script the rank system, which is how these groups make Robux. They sell ranks, and you'd have to make it so players can't access certain areas if they don't have a rank, and that could be quite hard. Now you also need players to join the group, and you can either set up ads for the group or the game, and you and your friends can just promote it and it'll just naturally get players joining. So for difficulty I would probably give this a 5 out of 5, and for profitability I would give it a 2 out of 5, since you will earn Robux but probably not as much as making a game. But then again, I'm not really sure how much these groups make, as their main source of income is just by selling ranks. I believe so anyway. That's why I'd give it a 2. The third way is by creating clothing. Now this links to my last point, and if you are good at creating clothing, you should find this one to be of ease, and you could possibly make your own home store to sell your clothing, or you could sell it to people that are looking for clothing. Now if you're starting off, I would recommend learning how to make clothing. This is usually done via a third-party application. So for the free applications you can use GIMP or Photopea, and for the paid applications I would recommend Photoshop. So I would give it a 2 out of 5 for difficulty, as I don't think it's as hard to make as making a game, and once you understand how to make clothing, it's quite simple. For profitability I would give it a 4 out of 5, since you can make a lot of Robux from it, as people are always looking for unique clothing to buy. The fourth way is by trading. Now this can only be done with people that have purchased a premium subscription, so just keep that in mind. Trading is a really good way to get Robux, as it teaches you how much items cost and the overall economy of Robux in a sense. Now if you don't know what trading is, I would highly recommend watching videos on how to trade, but it's basically a way of selling / buying items off someone else. Now you will need to learn what a good trade is and how to trade, but once you understand that, you could be making Robux straight away, assuming you have items that are tradable. I would give this a 2 out of 5 in difficulty, as it's not that hard to get into, but you will need items that are tradable. As for profitability, I would give it a 4 out of 5. The fifth way is by getting accepted into the UGC program. Now if you're new to what UGC is, it's the user generated content, which you usually see in the catalog made by just people that are in the UGC program. Now if you are good at designing and making 3D models, then go ahead and start making a portfolio for the UGC program. But if you have little to no knowledge on making models, I would highly recommend downloading Blender to start off with. Now Blender is a third-party application which you can use for making 3D models, and is used by a large majority of the community when it comes to making models, mainly because it's free and it's user friendly. And once you have downloaded this, start learning the basics and watching tutorials. I'd highly recommend watching Road Builder, as he makes a lot of videos on this topic, but also other people that aren't necessarily in the Roblox community. I should have a link in the description to the post where you can learn more about the UGC program. So for the difficulty I would give it a 4 out of 5, as you will need to learn how to 3D model, and then you also have to get accepted into the program But in terms of profitability, I would give it a 5 out of 5, since you can make a lot of Robux, especially if you're making trendy items. Now for all the people on mobile devices and everyone in general, you can enter giveaways. Now this can be done through Twitter, so I'd highly recommend making a Twitter account and following as many Robux accounts as you can. They will often post giveaways which you can enter, and let's say you enter 10 giveaways. The likelihood of you winning is quite low, whereas if you enter 100 giveaways, you're most likely going to win at least one. So I'd give it a 1 out of 5 for difficulty and a 1 out of 5 for profitability, since it's really easy to do and takes less than a minute to enter a giveaway, and you also don't get much Robux from it. So the last way is by selling your services / commissioning. So what I mean by this is, if you're really good at, let's say, 3D modeling, you can make a portfolio and show off your work when you're available, a bit about yourself and how much it costs to commission you. So on screen now you'll see my portfolio. I mainly UI design, so what I've done is I've put my UI work, and anyone seeing that post can just message me and ask me to design and make a UI for them. Obviously I take commissions, so that's a one-time thing, so once I make the UI they'll pay me, but you can also get percentage, which I wouldn't advise since it could be a scam. Unless they're really trusted in the community, I would highly just not go with percentages at all. Maybe when you're starting off, but as you start making Robux or money, you should stop taking percentages. Selling your services, the difficulty in this is you need to be good in your field, so I'd give that a 2 out of 5, since if you are good in your field it shouldn't really be that hard. Whereas if you don't know what you're actually good at, I would recommend just try finding what you're good at. So try to make 3D models. If you find that fun, then just carry on doing that until you get good at it. Or you can try UI designing, you can try scripting, audio design and building. There are so much things you can try out and see what you're good at. And for profitability, I would give it a 3 out of 5, since you won't get commissioned all the time, but when you do, you will make quite a bit of Robux. Actually, this completely depends on you. If you get asked a lot to make something for other people, then your profitability will be quite high, but for a mid-ground, I would say 3 out of 5. Now on screen, you can see all the ways to make Robux in 2021. If you see a software that goes by the name of Blocks Crusher, or just something similar, it's basically a mining software that mines Robux. And I would highly advise you stay away from this, because there are a lot of risks that include just increasing your electricity costs by a large amount, and it just decreases your hardware's lifespan. But if you do have an old PC that you don't mind using, and you can pay for the electricity it takes to mine, then go ahead and use it. But please do this at your own risk and do your own research in the topic before adventuring down this route. If you made it this far and would love to support the channel, then consider hitting that subscribe button and smashing that like button so more people can see this video, and that would help out a ton and takes less than a second to do. It's been me, Dazzy. Have a great day. Peace.